we've been publishing a magazine for 12 years, and this DVD is, on some level, it's us going to film school for the first time. It's our first exercise in filmmaking, if you could call it that.
It's the first of a series.
The next one is the Vice Guide to Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll. And this first one, the whole idea of it came from our friend Spike Jones, who made Being John Malkovich, an adaptation. He called us up and he said, do you guys ever film your articles? And we're like, no. He's like, well, you should. And so he kind of planted the seed in our brains. And then MTV approached us about doing a DVD series, and we decided to do travel for the first one. And a lot of the stories on the Vice Guide to Travel we wrote about in the magazine over the years. So this was, it was a learning lesson for us, this one. But it's cool. I think it turned out, it's a unique project, I'll say that much. It's not a revolution in filmmaking, and it could be better. The storytelling could be better, but overall it's, we learned a lot. And then for the next one, we're going to really improve on what we're doing right now, I hope. It's definitely not traditional journalism. We're not journalists in that traditional sense. The magazine has never been, our writers never went to journalism school. We never went to journalism school. I think what this is a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of, it's got an informative nature, and it touches on a lot of current affairs in a different way. But we didn't set out as like, we're journalists and we're going to get the story. But although, the Bulgaria segment is the closest thing to like 60-minute style traditional investigative journalism. But a lot of it really is just us going in with cameras and saying, okay, what are we doing? We're in. Like, half the battle was getting into these places. And then once we got there, we're like, oh shit, what are we doing here? We got cameras and we've got 4 hours. Let's see what we can get. And then we came back and realized that we're supposed to tell a story. And we have a stack of tapes. What is the story we're trying to tell? And so there was a lot of editing involved to tell the story after the fact. And moving forward, hopefully we can go in and know exactly what story it is we're trying to tell. But yeah, we chose places not because we were trying to be daredevils or controversial, but it was just we were interested in it. We thought it was fascinating subject matter, these places, that they exist, what's going on there. When you go looking for a dinosaur in the Congo, you're going based on a myth and a rumor that's existed for hundreds of years. So you kind of know going in that you might not get anything. The Paraguay segment was another one of those things where Friedrich Nietzsche's granddaughter set up a colony for Aryans called Nouveau Germania, and you go there and you're like, oh, okay, so this is the result of this experiment. It's a failed dream, like Nazis living in South America and having their own world. This is the result of it. I suppose we could have dug deeper. The segments should have been longer. It could have been more compelling, but we decided not to add too much fluff and bullshit in. We were like, okay, well, it's going to be 7 minutes long, but 7 minutes that we like, so we'll leave it at 7 minutes. A lot of these things should have been 30 minutes or longer. So, the next one, Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll. The rock and roll segment that I'm doing is about a heavy metal band in Baghdad. The only Iraqi heavy metal band. They're called Across the Cauda, and it means Black Scorpion in Latin, and we wrote about them 3 years ago in the magazine, and we stayed in touch with them. Last summer, when we were in Beirut filming this segment that's on this DVD, we were supposed to go into Baghdad. We organized a concert for them in Baghdad at a hotel. But we weren't allowed to fly in. There were some car bombs that went off. The flights got canceled, and so we had to come home. A month ago, I went to Baghdad, and I just came back. We're in the red zone. It's really fucked up. It's the most terrifying place I've ever been to. And the band There's only 2 members left that are in Baghdad. The rest have gone to Syria. And they are desperate individuals. They carry around guns. They're basically suicidal. They haven't had electricity in 3 years. Their friends and families are dying. And they're just trying to survive. And so already we have 30 minutes of amazing content with these guys. And the 2 guys that we interviewed, they just got to Syria last week, and the band is getting back together. So we're going to go there and finish the piece on heavy metal in Baghdad with a happy ending, that they're back together. And that's an amazing story to me, because it's maybe or a short film or something. You know, I don't know how long it's going to be right now. I'm not really worried about that. I just want it to be as strong as it possibly can be. But basically, it's you know, it's we got the story of the Iraqi people, and American media, CNN and Fox, aren't telling us how the Iraqi people are feeling. They're talking about the political situation, the fact that there's sectarian violence and everybody's killing everybody. But what's it like to be Iraqi in Baghdad right now? And that's the story we got. A lot of fascinating things that are happening around the world right now. And somebody's got to do it. So we're going to try anyway. Hopefully we can get some of these stories. There are some crazy shit going on around the world that no one's really talking about. So you have to go and hope that you can find the story and present it in a way that is both informative and entertaining. And that's not necessarily journalism. I don't know what that is, but hopefully it's fun to watch. Yeah. And another thing I want to say is that in America, the kids don't watch news. The average age of the person watching news in America is something like 62 years old. So how do you explain to the average American kid that there are interesting things happening all over the world? And the people at MTV kind of are looking for other people to do that. And so they came to us and they said, maybe you guys, with your kind of, they said, what would you do in an ideal world? And we said we would do 60 Minutes meets Jackass, if that's possible to do. So that kind of sums up what we're trying to achieve. It's a very lofty aspiration, and I think the Vice Guide to Travel is more like a shitty version of 60 Minutes with no Jackass, but, you know, that kind of sums it up, I think.
So you're mostly identified with print right now, but it could change.
Well, we're launching a broadband television network in January called VBS.TV. It's Vice Broadcasting System.TV. And this DVD is really transforming our company. Like, print will always be our brand engine. You know, we have the record label, we have this DVD series, we publish books, and but I feel like we can get to more people with the same stories if we try and tell the stories in a different format and medium. I mean, virally, things fly around the internet so fast now. Like, you know, you already know that. I mean, that's not news to you, but it's our little, you know, 30-second clips from the Vice Guide to Travel. We're flying around MySpace, and it's like the reaction we're getting. We never got that from the magazine. The magazine has always existed kind of below the radar in America, and we're happy with that because we don't want to change our content and become a mainstream company and put the Red Hot Chili Peppers on the cover so we can get to more. That's not us. If we start doing that, it's time to go home, pack it up, and call it a day.